Alrighty. So aliens are real.
You're
I
going straight to it. Okay.
Aliens are real. Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
into it. So my story, because this is about my time right now. Just a little breadth of me story time. Is that
Sure.
okay with you?
Yeah.
So, I believed in aliens, and I'm looking right at you. I didn't believe in aliens, and I watched Bob Lazar,
Mm.
and I felt like such a fool because I was like, aliens are real. I was convinced because it just all made sense. Like if you watch this
Mm.
Bob Lazar documentary, it's very rational and it really plays off of the fact of like, can you trust someone? Like
Mm.
this guy has the facts to back it up, and your gut, like when you listen to Bob talk, he has facts to back it up, and you just naturally think like he's telling the truth. He's either the best liar ever. Or he's yeah. So, and I was like, Bob was aliens are real. I posted it on Twitter, and then my friend was like, I don't think they're real. This guy's lying. And then I felt like a fool for a little
Mm.
bit. And so it was like an embarrassed kind of thing where it's like, I believe in aliens, but I don't know if I do. And now it's just like kind of fact that they are real, I'd say. I mean, it's not fact. Viewers can believe whatever they want, but you're really into it. And so, this is kind of, in my opinion, like convince me that that these are that they are as terrifying or friendly and as present, because I think that you have some facts that you want to show me and stuff like that.
Yeah. Have you ever, before we go into that, did you ever watch the documentary about the kids at that school?
I didn't watch the documentary because it was very slow.
Okay.
I know that you like genuinely love this topic, but for me it was like a very slow
Yeah.
burn. I watched the one that was more like a little more fast paced, which was more modern
Mm-hmm.
about it. And that it's just, in my opinion, okay, either they are mass hallucinating, very
Mm-hmm.
possible. It's a government thing that the government did, also possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like a hoax, a government hoax,
Yeah.
or they really saw what they saw. I tend to, I'm biased, so I tend to believe them. They all witnessed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I watched it.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
you could tell the
documentary.
viewers about it.
Yeah, so that documentary covered um probably like 80 school children. I can't remember. Do you remember where it was? Was it
Zimbabwe, right?
Zimbabwe? Yeah.
Hmm.
It was somewhere out there, and these kids, about 80 of them, witnessed a UFO land near their schoolyard where they were playing during recess, and they witnessed entities emerge from the vehicle. And the way that they described the entity's movement was most interesting to me. It was almost like fragmented, like it was very like choppy, the way that they moved in front of them, like almost like a stop motion animation, like they were skipping like around and kind of like jumping up a couple feet and like then over here, over there, and like you couldn't really focus on where they were. Almost like a
Almost
mirage,
dreamlike.
a
Yes.
dreamlike mirage, something like a hallucination of sorts. But for all of them to witness that same thing, to then be interviewed independently, and they all draw, the same sketch, and they all say the same thing, it would have to be like the most organized thing ever in the world, or they really witnessed it.
Or they
Bec-
hallucinated.
Or they hallucinated, which might be possible. I almost lean more towards they saw something
Me
physical.
too.
I just think the hallucination thing is way too like perfect for it all to work.
So
Everyone had the same story. All 80
that's
of
the
these kids.
thing. All of the kids, and here's the thing: all the kids had this story, and it's not just that. Let's link that documentary. It's really good. The one that's one you
Yeah, I'll
want,
put it in the
but in my
description.
opinion, the more friendly viewer, layman friendly one, the faster paced one's better. But they still talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like these kids back in 1989. had this image, and then, oh, isn't that funny? It's like, no, they go back and interview the people who
Adults.
are
Yeah.
now my age or older, and they
Yeah.
all still have the same story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it happened in the late 90s, I want to say, just to clarify. And yeah, the documentary that we watched kind of it's about the journey for the students reflecting on what happened to them as adults now. And it's really emotional for them. These are either the greatest actors ever that were picked out randomly as kids, and they continue to be great actors as adults, and they put on this great performance, or they really witnessed something and it really haunted them, enchanted them. And something that's really interesting too that they talk about is that when they saw these entities, they spoke to them telepathically.
Do we
I don't know if
have
you remember.
any clips of them talking?
I could pull that up, but while I'm pulling that up, I could tell you about what happened. They basically were told telepathically that you're hurting your planet and that they need to take better care of their planet. And I think that's insane. Can you imagine if you were like told that by, an alien creature? Like you wouldn't know what that means back then, but now it makes sense the way that we take care of our planet and the more that we talk about it.
And that's a technology that doesn't exist. Like they didn't explicitly say that, and yet all of them are saying this was the feeling. It was intense love, an intense amount of care. And they're talking about what you said. I don't know if all of them had that experience or some of them, but as far as I remember, all of them expressed something of that. Yeah, you need to take care of each other or whatever, and that's not something
Right.
that the government can imitate. It's not like the government can go into an alien costume and then have everyone feel a euphoric sense of, take care of the world.
I mean, not that we're aware of. Yeah, no.
Right.
That seems so like far fetched and like out of this world. If like the government was even capable of doing that, like the fact that they had that technology in the 1990s, like imagine where they would be now. Like it would just be like, I don't know, that feels too far fetched for me, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Let me see if I could find it. They talk about it here. Let me see. Zimbabwe.
It's okay. You have other clips. We don't need to show that clip. But I
Yeah, I
did
mean,
kind of
everyone
I did
should
kind of want the
watch that
viewers to
documentary,
see.
though.
I wanted the viewers to see some things so that it's not just like, us very,
Yeah, well, I could show you
very
what I
interested in
witnessed.
something that they can't see themselves,
I filmed something in the sky in 2021 out my window when I was living in Jersey City, New Jersey, which is right across from Manhattan. And what I witnessed was some sort of, it was like a Tic Tac UFO, the one that you hear about on the news with the U.S. Air Force pilot that witnessed that. That
Right.
was a major story that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we've all heard about. And I witnessed this a day after, or the same day after, two United Airline pilots witnessed a white cylindrical object dash past them when they were flying over Arizona. I witnessed this either, I think it was the day after. And at this apartment, I had really large windows, floor to ceiling windows where I was able to see the entire sky. I would sit there working from home during COVID, and I would see airplanes, helicopters go by, but this caught my eye. This was something that I had never seen before, something that kind of honestly freaked me out because it didn't look like an airplane, didn't look like a helicopter. So what is it? Let me just share the video with you right now.
All right.
All right. So you can see there, it's this white object slowly moving across the sky. No
The
wings, no.
frames are really bad on our
Yeah, it'll look
on the
bad for
screen
us because
share.
we're on Squadcast, but the
Oh,
viewers will
okay.
be clear. But that's what it looks like.
Okay.
Okay, so I didn't think much of it. I kind of just sat with that video on my phone for a couple of days, and then I must have been on the toilet or something going through my photos, and I looked at it again. I'm like, that's really odd.
Mm-hmm.
Something's really strange there. And I sent it to my buddy who was a former military contractor, very well informed on airplanes, very well informed on all things aviation. I sent it to him. And he kept thinking of what it could be. He said it could be military drones, could be this, that, the other. He says, I just don't know. So I kind of was a little confused. I started doing my own research, and I searched Tic Tac white UFO over New York City. Just to see if anyone was tweeting about what I saw maybe, or if there were any other videos. And what I found really startled me. What I saw has been seen around the world. New York City, Ohio, Missouri, Kazakhstan, China.
Couldn't it be a natural phenomenon of some sort, like a reflection of your?
Well,
of the...
let's look at these videos.
Okay.
Because when I found these videos, that's when I got really freaked out. So this is...
That's it. That's the same thing.
This was filmed a year or two prior to what I saw.
To a T, that's exactly what you saw.
Over in New York City, yeah.
Same shape.
Same exact shape, like. Same pace, same speed.
Movement. Yep.
Okay, so that's New York.
Alrighty.
Now we got Ohio.
Same thing again.
Same thing again. Same pace. It's this white thing. There's no wings, no nothing on it.
Oh, look at it. It's just hovering.
Even just watching it now, it freaks me out. Like, I'm so
I know,
detached from it
you
because it's
freak
been
me
a
out
year,
with this
but
stuff.
It freaks me out, too.
That's kind of what I wanted to say, is that you like pay attention to things that I think a lot of people don't don't want to pay attention to. Like in the same way that like schizophrenics or like, paranoid people are like maybe in touch with something that we just like, it freaks me out too much to even think about sometimes. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to look up into my sky and then see an object slowly floating around. So I just like...
Most people don't want to see that because it's terrifying. Yeah. This is Missouri.
You're open to it happening. And so then you get to see it, and it makes me wonder,
Yeah. And then this
is
crazy.
The exact same thing.
So I want to stop here because this is Missouri, Ohio, New York City that we saw.
All right. Yeah.
So my thinking
what was
here...
the other one?
We'll get to that.
All right.
My thinking here is, okay, I saw this Tic Tac UFO. We don't know what it is. It doesn't have wings. It doesn't have any traditional propulsion as far as we could tell. My thinking is, okay, the U.S. military, we see how much money they get with their budgets. They get trillions and trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the U.S. military is advanced enough at this point that they're able to create some sort of advanced drone propulsion system that is shaped like a Tic Tac and could kind of just glide along our skies? With that amount of money, why not? To me, I think that's completely reasonable. They could fly it over New York. They could fly to Ohio. They could fly.
They have a $1 trillion budget a year.
I don't know exactly, but they get it's a shit ton of money.
A shit ton of money.
Shit ton. So
right, more funding than really anything that we can conceive of.
Exactly. Right. And for me, I'm like, I kind of push it to the side as, okay, they're seeing these all over the country. It's probably ours, most likely. Because if you think of odds, are the odds of it being an alien thing or a U.S. thing? Most likely U.S. thing. But then I started seeing videos of this thing over different countries.
Okay.
And if the U.S. military has this advanced technology that, as far as we're aware, no other country has or is capable of making, and they're going to fly this over China, they're going to fly this over Russia, they're going to fly this over Kazakhstan, some of our enemies. If this thing crashes, if this thing gets shot down, if this thing gets seen by some sort of radar system or some telescope, their whole sham is up. They could have their technology stolen. It could be, but what if they shoot it down?
Well, okay. First of all, in the Cold War, when maybe it wasn't the Cold War, but when the atomic bomb was created, the very first time the atomic bomb was created, like we went to Yalta, I think it was called Yalta, and we just like let everybody know. Like somehow the president just let like everybody know, like
A flex, yeah.
we have like nuclear bombs now, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And just to let like so we could be flying this thing over everyone's countries just to be like, hey, just so you know, we're like 500 levels above whatever the fuck you got going on.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But there's also the other end of it where that isn't possible. Why would America be flying their rare, super rare, incredible technology over other countries?
If it's 500 levels above whatever, like what could take it down?
I don't know. But if I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Who knows? But let's look at this. Let's look at this was filmed over Kazakhstan.
Okay. Wouldn't it be weird if it was only flying over like China and Russia, like our enemies?
That would be strange. Because then it might be theirs.
Or it might be us flexing on these noobs.
Which is also scary, because flying something like this over a foreign country is kind of an act of war in a way. It's like,
Yeah.
here's China. This is
Yeah.
Hangzhou, China.
If you can catch us.
If you could catch us. But these things are being spotted throughout the world.
Yeah.
We don't publicly know exactly what these are. But
I still think it might be a reflection of the sun or some. I'm not
I think that's
ruling
a
out a
stretch.
natural phenomena of some sort happening.
I think for the same exact thing to be caught in all of these locations by different people, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that it's some sort of natural phenomenon. Like there's always that. So if you're familiar with Project Blue Book, which was the CIA basically had these investigators go out and look at UFO cases or phenomenon cases and basically dismiss them.
Mm-hmm.
There was Dr. Alan J. Hynek, who was a part of Project Blue Book, and there's a good TV show on this. Everyone should watch it. I loved it. And he basically had to lie to people and say like, oh yeah, this was just swamp gas. This was just like, a natural phenomenon.
Right.
And later, after Project Blue Book ended, he basically came out and said, yeah, it was all a sham. It was a lie.
Yeah.
And in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Steven Spielberg film, he actually makes a cameo in that. And
we probably would have already heard about the natural phenomenon argument, right? Like if
we would have seen very good video at this point of these natural phenomenons as swamp gas. And, you know, of course, there's like, you ever see like lightning balls that move across the sky or whatever?
No, it sounds dope.
I'll show that. So like sometimes there are natural phenomenons
that are weird.
That are weird and we can't really explain them. So for example,
they're not well understood.
They're not. So imagine
they're not
if
widely understood.
Imagine if you're out hiking or something, walking your dog. It's a stormy, humid day, and you witness something like a ball of lightning that travels across in front of you. I'll show you guys a video real quick right now. So what we're going to see here is a video. This is a real thing. So
you'd think this is aliens or some.
No,
you think this is
no.
You think
that
your
natural.
nightmares coming true.
This is a natural phenomenon. This is sometimes electricity flows like that.
Yeah, but if I saw
things.
that, I would think The Shining is like now the real world or something.
Yes, I would agree with you. If I saw this and I'm hiking and I maybe saw an alien movie or read something about aliens, I would assume this is an alien UFO flying by, zapping things. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. Right. That's absolutely insane. So, yes, can natural phenomenons happen and be mistaken as UFOs? Of course. What I witnessed, and what all these other people have witnessed, I have a hard time putting it into that category just because of its physical, its solid nature. I don't know if what I saw is exactly what that U.S. pilot saw, where it like went like 1,000,000 miles per hour.
It's a different radar system.
Exactly. But it had the similar shape, similar color, so I don't know. And it could have been a small airplane and my phone camera made it look as if it wasn't. But I do vividly remember not seeing any wings with my eyes, you know, not just through the camera lens, but I don't know. It's strange. I'm not going to immediately say, oh, aliens, because I lean more towards it being U.S. military property. Or another theory is that it's private contractors, your Bob Bigelow, your Lockheed Martin folks who engineer these things as contractors of the government, and they're able to have more secrecy because the government can't intrude on their private company, so they're able to hide these technologies a little bit easier than the U.S. Air Force might, or the Department of Justice, or whatever like department you can imagine. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because what you're saying would be implying that they learned a way to like basically break the way that physics that we understand it, like propulsion systems that like don't exist at the moment. Maybe it could be like one of those droids, like those little mini droids that
Mm-hmm.
they kind of look like they levitate, sort of like that.
Totally.
So that's maybe possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that think or theorize that what people are witnessing is just advanced drones. Like you could buy those DJI drones, whatever you film like YouTube videos on.
Yeah.
A lot of people just think it's advanced drones like that, where like maybe they don't use propulsion in the same sense that those drones do, but they do it a little bit differently and they have a little bit more control. But the drones that you could buy at like just even Target are really advanced. The way that they move so fast and they zip around and they
Mm-hmm.
go from one point to another so quickly, they're amazing. Like to
Mm-hmm.
think that's on the shelf of Target, what does Lockheed Martin have? You'd hope that Lockheed Martin has something a million times greater than that. I'm sure they do. So,
Good
but then
point.
you hear the stories about the kids in Zimbabwe. Then you hear stories about Bob Lazar and Travis Walton. Are you familiar with that story?
Yeah, he's the Blink 182 guy.
No, that's someone else. Travis Walton uh, claims that he was abducted by
I
aliens.
don't know that story. I think that would be definitely worth a listen because
Hmm.
Rogan
Yeah, he talked to
interviewed
him.
him.
He did, and
Um,
his story is fascinating.
yeah.
Like he was out. He was a logger at the time, out in the forest doing his thing, and he was with a group of like six other guys, and they didn't all get along. They were like, if you get six guys, they're not all gonna get along. It's just kind of how it is.
Hmm.
And one
It's true.
evening, they see this light come down into the forest, and Travis Walton approaches it. All of them are saying, "What the hell are you doing? Get the fuck away from that!" And then boom, he gets zapped by it,
Hmm.
and he collapses to the ground. His friends run. And by the way, at the point where it zapped him, it became close enough that they're able to actually see some sort of like UFO, like a flying saucer type of thing.
Hmm.
It zaps him. Their friends run. They dash out of there because they're terrified. They saw this UFO land close to Travis, zap him, he collapses.
Hmm.
They bust out of there, they leave, and then as they're driving away, they say, "No, we got to go back and get him. This is ridiculous. We got to save him." So they come back, and he's not there. Travis is gone. They go to the local police station, they say what happened, and the police think that they murdered him. The police think that they murdered Travis and that they are just trying to make up some elaborate story about a UFO that zapped him and made him disappear. About 7 days later, Travis reemerges. He reappears. He comes back. He is about 7 miles away, or something like that, from where this initially took place.
Hmm.
He walks back to civilization, goes to the police station. They're all amazed. They're like, "What the fuck happened?" They thought he was dead. They thought he was murdered. And he recounts what happened. And I can't remember if it was through like hypnosis or if he just remembered, but it might be a little bit of both. And he recounts
Yeah.
what happened to him. And what happened to him was he got zapped. Next thing he knows, he was waking up inside of the UFO. He's guided through a hallway by these little gray people. And then he's terrified. He tries to attack them inside of the lab room where they're about to experiment on him. And then what happens is a human-like entity walks into the lab and guides him to a larger aircraft hangar-looking thing. And inside of there are other people. There's other UFOs in there. And then I can't remember exactly what else happened, but eventually he just wakes up out of it. And he has done lie detector tests. Obviously, those aren't so reliable, but he's done lie detector tests. All of his friends
Reliable
have
enough. Yeah.
reliable enough, and all of his friends
They're
have.
really hard to cheat. It's
I'm not
possible, but they're
familiar,
really
but I
hard.
know they don't use them in court much anymore because
Yeah. I
they're a little
mean,
iffy.
yeah, like it makes sense to not use it in court because it could be wrong. But like if you're thinking probability wise,
Sure.
like, you know,
Yeah.
85% of the time it's right, 80%, it's
Mm-hmm.
like a good indication of like, okay,
Yeah. So, and then all of his friends, all those other guys that were with him, to this day, even after he's had book deals, movie made about him called Fire in the Sky, they've all affirmed his story. Some of them really don't like him because they thought that he's exploited what he's done and he made a lot of money and they didn't get any money. But they still say it was true. It happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
Scumbag, but still true.
Scumbag, but
Here's the
still
problem
true.
that I have with the main objection, which what I heard on Reddit or somewhere was that
Yeah.
mass delusion or mass hallucination. It's a
Mm-hmm.
phenomena, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
problem that I have with the notion of mass hallucination is it is okay. First of all, the psychological like industry, they're not always the good guys. They're not always like, hey, we are here for the outsiders. We're here for the outside experience. Hey, we are here for all viewpoints. The psychiatric industry or institution, they
Mm-hmm.
were against gay people. They labeled homosexuality as a mental disorder until like
Mm-hmm.
the late 80s. Okay.
Yeah,
The
and it
idea
hasn't been
that,
even, and then the social acceptance from that hasn't even happened until like it's still happening now. Like it's
yeah,
still
but these
damaged
are
from that.
doctors who are supposed to be like helping you get better. And the
Yeah.
idea that like they are, you know, not tied to like the social norms of our time is bullshit. So there's like definitely a world where I could see, okay, a bunch of psychiatrists who are listening to a story like what you just said and
Mm-hmm.
going, this isn't reasonable because something like this is just UFO nonsense. And so instead of going, okay, I'm going to look at this experience and base the truth off of the experience rather than like whatever, they go, this is just mass hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just kind of, whenever these experiences happen, you can go, oh, that's not a ghost, or that's not a UFO, or that's
Mm-hmm.
not the Matrix telling you, something's going awry, and it's mass hallucination, and it's a way to like
Mm-hmm.
norm to maintain the status quo, basically. And I don't think they realize that they're doing it. I just think it's a little bit of a
Sometimes they do.
closed-minded thing.
Sometimes they do. Do you know the history behind the word or the phrase conspiracy theorist?
No.
It started right after JFK was assassinated. They coined it as conspiracy theories, and that they labeled people that didn't believe the official story as conspiracy theorists. And that word got injected into our vocabulary. We use it today. We describe crazy people that have these weird theories as conspiracy theorists, and it has this bad mark on it. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's deliberate, sometimes you're right, it's not. But with this case, where it's like, with Travis, let's say, like, I don't know what to think of it. I mean,
The fact that it's not a
I don't know.
cult too. The fact that it's not like everyone agreeing with one leader, right? Because you see mass hallucinations a lot with cults. I'm going to
Mm,
take you to the promised land.
right.
Everybody's kind of all in on whatever the
Drink the
master is
Kool-Aid.
saying. They drink the
Yeah.
Kool-Aid and then they all see Jesus,
Yeah.
right? That kind of makes sense, like a mass hallucination that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
This is a situation where you have six guys who are kind of maybe alpha or just toxic masculine, hate each other, and they
Yeah.
all see something without like really any like indoctrination involved.
It was a one-off experience that happened one night. There was nothing leading up to it. There was nothing that could have like prompted them for it or prepared them for it like a cult would. It was just this one-off experience that they can't explain.
So not mass hallucination. Now, what is it?
No.
Government
So
or aliens?
for me, I lean more towards what's natural and what is most likely. And for me with the Travis case, I think it might have been the ball lightning kind of thing that we saw. I know they saw like some sort of object, but then also it could have been a game of telephone where like one guy saw the ball of lightning and then one guy saw no, it was something solid, and they kind of, you know how like stories and can kind of like flow into
It
something, they
could
all
have been
start
a ball of
believing it.
lightning thing.
Maybe he got electrocuted. Maybe there was something that electrocuted him.
If you touch that ball of lightning, well, you get fucked up.
Yeah. Did you get struck
Yeah.
by lightning? Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And he might have lost consciousness. He might have went into this weird
Mm.
dream world and panicked. And I mean, I took melatonin last night and I had the most intense, horrifying like apocalypse dream. But like, imagine if like you got struck by lightning and your brain got like fuzzled like that. It would be way more intense and way more authentic than
Yeah.
like what anyone else could experience. And I'm not writing it off. Aliens might have abducted him, but I tend to lean more towards what's close to reality. Would I love if aliens abducted him? Yes, I think that would be amazing. That would be such a cool thing. I'm so for it, and I hope it's happening. But I'm not convinced.
I have a good story for
I don't
this.
know. Mm-hmm.
I'm a philosophy major, and so one of the things that philosophy teachers do, and it's one of the main forms of how we kind of like get to the truth with these like really
Mm-hmm.
sticky things like simulations and is the world a simulation or aliens and stuff, is you do a gut check right at the
Mm.
beginning of the class. It's so much fun. So the guy, he'll say some crazy thing, right? Okay, aliens, zap these motherfuckers, gut check. Natural phenomena or aliens. The gut
Mm-hmm.
check is basically like, in a way, a probability meter. What's
Mm-hmm.
likely? But I love this theory so much because it's persuasive, it's perhaps true. This philosophy professor introduces this notion called crazyism.
Mm.
And crazyism flips the status quo of philosophy and this idea of what you're doing, which is probabilities, on its fucking head. Because it says all of the revolutionary truths, and it seems like right now we are in a revolutionary truth sort of situation with these UFOs. It really seems like these things are out there, and all of these revolutionary truths that have existed throughout time are crazy ideas. The
Mm.
world is not the center of the universe. The world is not flat. Notions that we take for granted that are just so the idea is basically that if it's a crazy idea, it is more likely to be true.
Mm.
And this seems like a very fitting theory to apply to UFOs and whatnot. I'm not saying maybe for this example, maybe
Mm-hmm.
not, but there is so much evidence for UFOs that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. My mom saw a UFO.
yeah.
Did I ever tell you that? When she was younger,
Mm-mm.
she went to a summer camp and she was out somewhere in the field or whatever, and she looks up and she sees what appears to be like a classic flying saucer. And she runs to go tell a camp counselor about it. The local news comes to interview her, like the local newspaper or radio station. And to this day, she still stands by it. She saw something in the sky, that was not a plane, it was not a helicopter. We don't know what it was. And what's really crazy too, and what like really convinces me that these things might be real, is that we've been seeing the same exact thing, a flying saucer. It dates back to like, I don't know, the 20s, 30s, at least when it was recorded. And it's the same exact piece of technology since the 30s that we're still seeing to this day. That is bizarre. Real people are seeing them, they're documenting them, and we don't know what it is.
And the
I don't think
descriptions, I'm guessing what you mean is the descriptions that they are giving are the same as,
right.
yeah, yeah,
And
saucer-like disc.
I think it's wrong for people to assume that there's something nefarious happening with the US government. I do not think that I think they are just as bewildered as we are with this kind of subject. And I think obviously the Pentagon is researching it more, becoming a little bit more public about it, opening the conversation a bit more. We're in this transition over the past, decade, moving from a very Christian country to what I believe is becoming a little bit more agnostic. And I think we're seeing a shift in the powerful people within our military in relation to the religious shift in our country. And I think the reason why they didn't want to, make this a big conversation in the past is because it goes against everything that most of these Americans believe in, which is Christianity, the Bible. But I almost disagree with that. I think it would align with the Bible. Of course, there's, the Bible was written on our planet. What's to say, your God didn't create other people on other planets that might
It
be a
is
little bit more advanced
strange.
than us?
It is strange because I think the notion of Christianity, at least as I was taught by my philosophy professor, is that we are the only people in the universe. And it is strange because that's not necessarily the only interpretation of the Bible. I have read the Bible, and first of all, it's a fucked up book, but secondly, like Jesus says, the meek shall inherit the earth. And the classic interpretation of that would be like the meek will rule the world. But that's not the only way to read that. You can read earth as if you're taking care of the earth. The meek will inherit the earth, which is what we should, so you can interpret it a lot of different ways. I don't know where that comes from. The idea that it's the idea that humans are above everything else and that we're chosen and we're special. Animals don't really go to heaven, but humans do.
Yeah. Well, dogs go to
This
heaven.
planet is special. I don't think based off the Bible they do.
Oh, but Hallmark told me all dogs go to heaven.
Yeah. I love that book, that movie. But
I think we're narcissists, though.
I
A
do.
little
I
bit.
agree, and I think that if the Bible says that it's wrong, I like Jesus's teachings for now. So I haven't heard anything that says like so far in Jesus's teachings that talk about like mankind being the only being in the universe like at all. It seems
My interpretation, though, with like the old guard government and the old religious government, is that if they introduce the idea that there are aliens visiting our planet, it would cause utter chaos to the religious environment because it is a challenge to everything that they have been told. And it would disrupt the morality, it would disrupt the pureness of America that once was. And I think...
How so?
I get it. I get it.
Okay. I'm following you.
I think at this point in America's history, we are far beyond that religious, mindset. Obviously, there are parts of this country that are very, very religious and would disagree with me. But I think we're at this point in America where we've kind of moved a little bit beyond that, and that we are now at this point where the separation of church and state is becoming a little bit more clear, and that we might be able to introduce this amazing idea that, yes, aliens have been visiting us, and we don't know what they are. They could be from our planet for all we know. They might be from our oceans. They might have always been here.
That would be so fucking weird. Like The
Why not?
Abyss. Have you seen that, dude? No, I know.
I've
Have you
not.
seen the movie The Abyss? It's literally about that. Oh, it's so creepy, dude.
Have you seen deep
Because
sea
there are,
creatures?
oh, dude, it's creeping me out. You know that there's there are parts of the ocean that are so deep
Yeah.
that you cannot go to them. We don't know what it looks like. Like we can drop like steel balls, but like we can't take a
Right.
submarine down there. Ugh.
We
What's
don't know
down
what's down
there?
there. We have no idea.
Aliens.
We have no
Could be a
idea.
whole colony.
For all we know, it could be a whole colony. I want to show you this video of these deep sea creatures just to like give us, because I feel like not enough people like watch these videos about deep sea creatures. We don't know what's under there.
We're gonna creep people out, but I'm in.
That's okay.
Yeah. Oh,
These
imagine
things,
being down there.
yeah, these are in our oceans right now. You could go to
I know.
your local aquarium and see this exact thing that we're seeing right now. I've seen this one in an aquarium and it's absolutely beautiful. So
Yeah.
what if there is a deep sea creature that we haven't discovered, and we discover deep sea creatures all the time that we have never seen. It's not all the time, but it happens quite often. And I think it might be possible. Just as one an additional theory to the table. What if there is a deep sea creature that is capable of living underwater, but also capable of flight above water?
Okay.
What if, because the way that the U.S. pilot who saw the Tic Tac UFO, he described it as moving very sporadically, jumping from over here, over there, twitching around.
Yeah.
What else naturally on our planet that we can see every day twitches around and jumps around? Mosquitoes, flies. If you look at a fly with our own eyes, obviously if you film it with a slow motion
Squids,
camera,
jellyfish,
yeah, all these
things
things move
underwater.
erratically. But the only reason why I say flies and mosquitoes is because you see those with our own eyes and they move. They move so fast you can't even see it. What if because that's natural to our environment. What if a deep sea creature shared the same kind of genetic makeup as a mosquito or a fly, where they move so erratically, so quickly that our eyes can't pick up on it, and then they go out of the water, fly into the sky, fly over our countries, and we have no idea what it is. It looks
Intelligent
solid.
creature from
Yeah.
yeah.
Who
Wild.
knows?
We
Yeah.
think we're the most intelligent species on Earth, but it's not the case.
It might not. And I understand why we think that, because if you look around at the other creatures on our planet, they can't talk, they don't create buildings, they don't create the amazing things that we do. So, of course, we're going to think that we're the greatest thing ever. It makes sense. But I think it's important for civilization and humans to not always feel that way. I think that it would be in our best interest to be humbled in some fashion, whether there's a new competition that flies into our, airspace or whatever.
I think that's such a cool idea.
Yeah. And these things have, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of like even politicians and presidents that have seen UFOs. I mean, I think Jimmy Carter saw something, and there's a couple other guys. So it's like, I don't think it's like a fringe weird thing anymore to like talk about it, just to witness these things. You're not crazy if you witness it, or if you are
Right.
abducted, you're not crazy. People have weird things happen to them that challenge their notion of reality and their world.
Here's what interests me so much about this conversation is that this has been happening in the Air Force for decades.
Yeah.
And it feels like something that we as like a human consciousness, like a collective human consciousness, just didn't want to understand. Like Air Force pilots would say, there's an undocumented aerial phenomena and that's it. Like it's just been there. It's always been that way. And like nobody's ever gone like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like it feels to me like the pilots didn't do that. Like
Well, there's a reason to that.
the yeah.
The reason for that is up until very recently, until the recent Pentagon hearings, U.S. air pilots cannot talk about it. Because if you're a U.S. air pilot for the U.S. Air Force, you have to go through psychological evaluations. If you say that you saw a UFO and that you're so convinced of it, you might lose your air license. You might be kicked out of the US Air Force. You might lose your job, your livelihood, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because you said that you saw something that other people haven't seen or believe in.
And doesn't this connect back to the psychiatric institutions?
Exactly. It's all this big cycle of like comply, comply, comply. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It ties into every part of our life, but in this case, it's very apparent. But luckily now, with all these new Pentagon hearings, the big reason for the Pentagon hearings was to change the rules a little bit, to make it so Air Force pilots can talk about it and not be persecuted for it, not lose their job, not lose their licenses,
Not lose their sanity. It's like
not lose their
okay to
sanity.
talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and there's this weird culture in like the US Air Force, like when you're out on those rigs in the ocean for months at a time, and if you see something, you kind of get made fun of. That's what that US pilot who saw the Tic Tac said. He got kind of teased. They would put like Close Encounters on the TV in the lunchroom or whatever, and they would kind of tease him. So that's like I feel
The
like that
Faber
stigma.
guy?
Yeah,
Faber?
Commander Fravor. That's who we're talking about. The Tic Tac UFO. Great interview with Rogan and Lex Fridman. They did a deep dive into his encounter, which if you haven't listened to, you should because it's absolutely fascinating. But that stigma, I think, is finally being dropped. I think people are finally feeling comfortable talking about it, expressing. Like I've always been interested in this subject since I was young. I would watch, Ancient Aliens. I would watch these wacky documentaries where. Do you remember like watching alien documentaries where they were like over dramatized, where they would be like dun dun dun? They would show like an alien skull and like it would just be like so goofy and over the top. I would
Yeah.
watch those late at night, and
Yeah.
I would just get so sucked into it. Like, and then I don't know. I just fell in love
Yeah.
with it. It's so cool. This idea that there might be other people out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
That I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah. I
Yeah,
agree. Very cool.
those documentaries sucked me in. That like the I'm just fascinated in the unknown because I feel like I already have an understanding of what's here and I'm kind of bored with it. Everything here is amazing. Electricity, infrastructure, architecture, communication, language. Okay, cool. I understand it all. What about the unknown? There are people that say that they've seen ghosts. There's people that say they've seen Sasquatches and Bigfoot and then UFOs. What if they're right? What if there's, we always make these great discoveries. Remember when we found dinosaur bones? Like, whoa, that was a
Yeah.
big achievement.
Yeah.
What's to say that we won't make that great discovery again, but with UFOs, with aliens?
I think that's what's happening right now. I think we're
It
in the
might be.
middle of it. And that's what's so
It's exciting.
like I'm a part of your Discord group. Yeah, it's exciting for you, buddy. But like, you're showing me these videos and I'm like, this is fucking nuts. Like it's like they're fucking here. And when you like embody that idea, like when you like not you, but when I like
Hmm.
really understand like aliens are real, that's it. You know, maybe I could be wrong, but like all of the facts are implying that it's like 80% or more that aliens are here, right?
Hmm.
That's a total fucking
It changes everything you know. Everything that
yeah.
you've been taught, it just flips it upside down. And I think that's why so many people have been terrified to have that conversation or even bring it into the public atmosphere because it challenges everything.
Hmm.
Everything. We don't like it makes people think, why are we here? Are we related to them? Did they create us? Did they drop us here? Is this some sort of weird experiment? There's so many questions to be asked then if it comes out, more publicly and more mainstream that they are real.
The idea that look at us as a human species compared to every other human species on the planet. The idea
Mm-hmm.
that, we weren't modified by them or that they aren't
Yeah.
paying attention to, like the
Mm-hmm.
idea that like something happened to us where our consciousness jumped like 1,000 times faster than everything else here.
Yeah.
Like that's weird, dude. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
It's the whole Prometheus idea that like
I'm
aliens
looking at
drop
you
some
through a
sort of DNA.
camera.
I know, and
Yeah.
sometimes when I look at you here, like I don't even feel that you're real, just because it's like you're a flat 2D object.
Yeah, well
It's so
that's
odd.
the effects of the camera. It's different than like
I
in
know,
person. Yeah.
but anyways, it's this whole idea of like Prometheus drop some DNA, or I think in Prometheus they drop like that really like it's like a white alien looking creature. They drop him and then he dies and then his DNA falls into the river, and then it flows in and it creates humans. And to think that we haven't been tampered with, I think, is a little naive. It's a little
Yeah.
naive because look
We've been
around. Look,
tampered with, dude.
look
We've been
around.
tampered
Look what
with,
we've
dude.
created. We have been.
We
We
have
have
been
been.
tampered
A
with.
long
That's
time ago,
it.
we were tampered with. They
Yes.
these little things came down. They saw these dumb Neanderthals, or maybe they even put the Neanderthals here. Maybe they put them here.
Yeah.
But at some point, they said, "All right, we're gonna create this experimental dome planet where we're gonna create these animals and then these humans. Maybe they'll kind of look like us, but they'll be a little bit different. Maybe they think we're ugly. Maybe they're
Yeah.
scared of us the way that we
Yeah.
look. But it's possible. Maybe they created us. Maybe they plopped us down here for some sort of purpose to farm our souls or like who
Well,
knows?
here's just another devil's advocate though.
Yeah.
Is like how different, like we're separating humans from animals, and it's like maybe animals are still, I don't know. I think it's just more frightening to me to see the difference between us and animals. Like I'm like looking at my desk, right? And like there's a light, and it's just, it terrifies me to think of, because like we're just so vastly smarter than everything else. And just the idea that somebody, super sped us up or something, I don't know. I'm just trying to like maybe
So
bridge the gap of consciousness to make me feel comfortable or something between animals and us.
and that might be why the old religious guard of our, institutions have not been interested in making this a public dialogue, because I feel like if you introduce the idea of a more powerful alien being, the conversation will eventually always go to they created us, which challenges traditional religion. Because if it's not
Yeah.
God that created you and it's these little alien guys
I mean,
on their
science already did a
spaceships,
number on that one.
it did. But
Yeah.
you could see why the old guard would not want this out there. If something really did crash at Roswell and they did retrieve bodies, they don't want people knowing. Not back then. Not back then.
No. I'm with you. That makes sense. I also am hesitant to believe whatever the aliens want me to believe, because like with the primitive primitive, I'm sorry for saying primitive. I didn't mean primitive. What I meant is when
Shame
native,
on you.
it's actually like not cool that my brain goes there, but I forgive myself and the
We've been
culture or
trained
whatever.
that way.
Yeah. So Native Americans, when they were before they were colonized, they saw white people with all of this technology, all of these things, and they go like, by the way, Jesus exists. And Native Americans are like, okay, like it's basically like what could happen to us, where aliens come down and go, hey, by the way, we created you. And we go like, you have all this technology we don't have. Okay, we'll believe whatever you say. That happened to like some Native Americans,
Yeah.
and I'm not going
Who,
to do that.
well, who created the aliens?
Yeah. God,
It's just,
Jesus.
yeah, you could go back and say it was God then. Or you could
Yeah.
say they created themselves, or maybe they were also part of the Big Bang, but they're just ahead of us or whatever.
Yeah.
Weird shit. If you
But
think about it
but
too long, you go crazy.
yeah, totally. And what I'm getting out of this conversation is like what makes me feel comfortable is like not necessarily like where the facts are leading, at least in this conversation. Like what makes me comfortable is to imagine like dogs are kind of like us. They're a little bit conscious to bridge the gap between these things. But what's real is like there is a stark, really creepy distance between like the cities that we've made, the technology that we're using, and like fucking dolphins who have a form of language and like cooperation. You know,
What creeps me out too is if you took photos of every living creature on this planet It's almost as if some wacky scientists grabbed our eyes, put them on dogs, but changed them a little bit. Or maybe they changed naturally over evolution. But like, we all share, obviously, that same genetic makeup through evolution. But how wacky is it that we share the same things as dogs, dolphins, fish? Like, we all share these similar, like, if you talk about it like computers, we share the same, CPU, hard drive. Like, we all have these same pieces. If you were creating a planet with a bunch of different animals, you're going to sit there and do an original thing for each one? No, you're going to copy and paste some things over.
Well, you would copy and paste because it fits the, like, evolutionarily speaking,
The
it fits
environment.
the climate that
Yeah.
we're in. Yeah.
Weird.
Weird.
It's weird to look at a dolphin and think. Like, we know dolphins are very
It
smart.
looks at us, dude. There's a fucking, like, elephants, I think. They can see themselves and they know they're looking in a mirror.
Even the way that monkeys act, or the way that they can be trained, and the way that they can communicate
But they're
with
stupid.
us.
They're still stupid though, right? There's like both. Like
There's
monkeys are still
compared to
going
us, they're stupid, yes. But
yeah.
compared to most other creatures, I would say they're very wise. But maybe dogs are just as wise as them. And maybe birds are too, but we just don't understand it.
Yeah. Also the notion of wisdom, right? We're so wise. We're fucking destroying our planet.
We're
How
stupid.
smart are we? We're
No,
so
we're
fucking
idiots.
we're literally the stupidest fucking
We kill each other.
and we're the dumbest animal on this planet because without us the planet would be like very like a healthier place.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're definitely toxic to this planet. But that also makes me wonder, are we supposed to be here?
Yeah.
We
We're a virus or something
are
created
we
by
are
Satan or something.
or no, like, we're allergic to our own planet. We've been here for how many years? So many years that we have been here. We get sunburnt, we get allergies, we die from natural this does not feel like we're supposed to be here.
That's a
We're
good point though.
Yeah.
But isn't
What-
that every animal that
Is it
exists?
though? I feel like most other animals are like, they belong here.
They don't complain about it.
Maybe not. Yeah.
They get
Maybe-
diarrhea and they just don't have like, ways to
They don't complain
relax
about it on Twitter.
Yeah, they don't take Pepto Bismol. Yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes I wonder, is the whole notion of aliens and this whole idea of aliens just humans looking in the mirror, reflecting on what we are, these absolutely strange fleshy creatures that roam our planet. We fly in the sky, we drive around on the ground, we build, we destroy, we innovate. We have electricity, we have tablets, we have iPhones, we have all these wacky things. And I think it also might be possible that humans are just, we're evolving so quickly technologically that we're having this this mass hallucination that there's this idea that aliens exist, but it's actually just us looking at each other, looking at our innovations, looking at everything we've done, the amazing things we've done, the horrible things we've done. And we can't comprehend it because we're not that smart.
We don't know where we're going.
We don't. We don't know what the end goal is.
Yeah.
So we make up this idea, aliens. Meanwhile, it's just us.
Yeah. Just us kind of coping with what this force that we're doing.
No different than
This machine.
You see those horrible cases of people that were abused as kids, and then they kind of revert to their childhood, and maybe they like play with toys and they like wear diapers and they kind of like get into that zone. We're doing that, but on a larger scale, but with aliens possibly.
Wait, what? Now that
Did I lose you with the adult diaper babies?
that one, yeah.
It's the same way. All right, so imagine if something really traumatic happened to you and you cope with it in a very strange way.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, interested.
Boom, done. You could attach that idea to anything you want.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. We're coping with this idea
Yeah.
that we are fucking weird ass creatures and that we do horrible things, we do great things. Why did we throw all these Jews in the oven? Why did we create the iPhone? Like, such
Mhm.
contrast of doing amazing things and horrible things. Of course, how are we going to cope with that? We haven't talked publicly about how we
Mass
cope with those
hallucination
things.
wouldn't be far from a reasonable.
No,
That seems pretty reasonable based
we're a
off
big
of how
cult.
fucked up, and incredible this world is, how strange it is, how wonderful, all and how fast everything's happening. It seems very reasonable that we would experience like mass, like bizarre coping mechanisms as a human race.
We are a big cult.
Yeah.
And there are smaller cults within us. But
Mm.
ultimately, the humans are one big cult. And just like earlier you said that cults can do mass hallucinations and mass hysteria, it could happen on a very large scale if it wanted to, I think.
Mm.
I mean, think about the societal things that input into our world. Gender, don't do this, don't say that. Like we all are kind of on the same page internationally with like certain like societal rules that we all just kind of abide by. Are we hallucinating? Is there mass hysteria? We wouldn't call it that, but that is kind of what it is in a way. We're all hallucinating.
Peace. Then you just stop recording.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of what this all concludes into. I think in some ways, I mean, listen, we got these eyeballs. They connect to our brain. It's projecting
Yeah.
something in front of us. We need light in order to see. What's to say that our brain doesn't get scrambled? I mean, we think we're perfect, but we're not. We're not. Of
No,
course, we
I
could see
agree
things
with
that
you.
aren't right or hear things that aren't right, misinterpret things.
We could believe things that are wildly untrue.
And people think, oh, once we introduce AI, all of our problems will go away. Who created AI? We did. It didn't just appear. We're going to put our biases into AI. We're going to put all of our ideas and notions of our society into AI. Then the AI is just going to be another thing of us, also hallucinating on its own.
Yeah. I don't know. AI is a could be. I don't know enough about it.
I'm just ranting.
I don't know.
I
AI
like AI.
AI
I
me
like AI.
too.
I want to say that. I do like AI a lot. But it's this idea that it's going to solve all of our problems. I don't believe that. We
No,
can't
it's
rely
not.
on something that we created that looks like us, talks like us, thinks like us to resolve our problems because we're just creating us. That's all
Ooh,
it is.
that's good.
Yeah. Do we leave it there?
Sure. I wish everyone a happy holidays. I'm going
Yeah.
to actually be like enjoying the holidays after this. I'm going to like sit with it, live with it, but like I'm still going to live my life and like
Yeah.
enjoy my family, enjoy my life, and you know, because it's there's no point to any of this wonderful conversation if I don't feel gratitude, for me at least.
Yeah. For me, anytime I had this kind of conversation, this might have been one of the better ones that I've ever had because I feel like we really got into certain subjects I've never been before.
Mm-hmm.
But I never like end the conversation, walk away, and feel like hypnotized by it. Like I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's just what
Yeah.
it was. That's the conversation. We don't fully understand it. To dwell on it, to let it consume you, to let it keep you up at night. You can't do that because you don't have the answers. I could be
We
wrong. You
could
could
be
be wrong.
wrong.
We could all be wrong.
All of this could be a
God
mess.
might be real. God might be
Mess.
real.
This could be us hitting the B, pressing filling in B on the SAT quiz, and it's actually the answer is actually C.
Exactly. We're one letter away, but yeah,
We're close.
we're
Doesn't matter.
close.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna do a holiday episode on. It'll release on Christmas morning,
Yes.
and
And for our yeah
yeah,
yeah And we'll give
We look
some
forward to that.
exclusive content to our Patreon supporters. We're going to be singing Christmas
Yeah.
carols
Yeah.
because we
Go
love you
follow us
and I
or go subscribe
appreciate
to us
you.
on Patreon so you could hear that. That's going to be rare. It's a rare clip. Yeah.
All right. Well, we love you guys.
Thank you guys.